Hello, everyone. This is Esha Estar, and welcome to the first day of the Fire of Grief. I am so excited to be here with you. Excited, nervous, all of the emotions are coming up for me. Um, Part of my brain is like, "What are you doing?" The other part of me is saying, "Yes, do it." And so I'm filled with so much emotions. Um, and I'm embracing all of it because being here with you, sharing my story with you, this has been in the making for the last 8 years. And all of the nervousness, all of the excitement that I feel um, is also part of the whole journey that I've been on. So I'm no stranger to grief. And I'm sure you're no stranger to grief as well, right? Grief is something that every single human being on this planet will feel. It's how do we navigate with it? How do we tend to it? And so I've been working with women, and this, by the way, it's also for men, right? So I don't want to leave the men out. There's will be valuable information here for men as well. But I wanted to create this series, The Fire of Grief, particularly for women, because it helps me to give back as a woman to other women. It helps me to be brave enough to show up in my own womanhood and my own queendom to assist other women on their journey. But it's their journey of coming into their power. And this is what really my grief journey has done for me. It has helped me to become more empowered in a way that I never imagined. And so, as I thought about this first session, I got excited because grief is a massive teacher for me in so many ways, right? It's a master teacher, and it has been a master teacher for me in my life. And I'll tell you why. We often tend to run away from the things that scare us the most. And that is when we know the things that scare us the most, that is a clue that that is the very thing that we need to run to, because there is an opportunity to collect power there for us. It's an opportunity of infinite growth. And so as I thought about this first session, this feeling came over me that I wanted to get dressed up, and I wanted to wear something sexy, not to be on camera, but it's more for honoring this story of grief that I've been through in my life, right? From childhood to just last year, actually. And I wanted to honor it. I wanted to honor it with beauty, with sassiness, with a little bit of, sexiness. And that might all sound a little strange to you, and that's fine. But what I'm here to do is not to give you this conventional grief that we've all known, but is to step into flipping grief on its head, to see it from different angles, to see it as a transformative agent. And so I've never worn this little dress before. So I said, you know what? I'm going to wear this little dress, sexy. It shows a little shoulders, a little chest. I'm wearing my little serpent earrings that I love, and they represent transformation. And this is exactly what the grief journey has done for me. It has allowed me, by me taking the time, the dedication, the commitment to walk with my grief, never expecting where I would end up, because honestly, I didn't know if I would make it out of my grief. It was so intense, so brutal in so many ways. And I'll be sharing more of my journey, my grief journey with you over these 31 days. But what really rose up in me today as I was thinking about sitting here with you was inviting the fullness of my story. And in inviting the fullness of my story, it's elevating the whole arc of the transformation, right? So yes, there's beauty there. There's beauty, there's sadness, there was anger, right? There was guilt, like all of these things that we feel in the grief journey. But I wanted to just honor this rite of passage for me, because I do feel like grief is a rite of passage. We ignore it, but it is a rite of passage for us. And so why this 31-day fire of grief, right? Grief is fiery, right? It's not one of those tame, soft experiences that we go through. It's not, right? And this is why we avoid it, because it has such impact to it. It has a bite. So most of us, what we do is that we stuff it down. We want to have it. We have an aversion to it. We want to resist it. We want to avoid it. But where does that grief go when we do all of that? It needs to go somewhere. And so it goes into the body, goes into our organs, our tissues, our cells. It has to go somewhere. And one of the best advice I was given 2 months after my late husband passed away in 2017. His death was very sudden and unexpected. And I'll reveal more about that as we go on. But the best advice I was given was this: whatever you do, don't take any shortcuts. Whatever you do, don't take any shortcuts, because the journey that you're going to go on will reveal the next version of yourself that you're going to be. That was the advice that I was given. And in the moment, I didn't quite understand it. I just knew what I felt, and what I felt didn't feel good. But there was something in me that listened to that advice. And it set me up for completely taking responsibility for what I was feeling. So, namely, I gave myself permission to feel. And that is such a difficult thing to do sometimes. It sounds so easy, right? Just feel, right? But how do you feel something that wants to split you apart? I don't know how I did it. And if I can be honest, I can't take any credit for it. Yes, I did the work, but through each and every step of it, I felt like I was being carried, and I know that God was with me 100% of the way, even though I felt so completely alone at times, right? And I even got angry at God because I felt so abandoned. But what I didn't realize was the reason why I felt this loneliness was because God was carrying me. And I wasn't by myself. I came to understand that much later on. So we are living right now in a world that's on fire. This awakening, this ascension process that we're all on, the timelines have sped up. None of us can afford to stay in the shadows. None of us can afford to sit on the sidelines. We're all being called home to tend to what ails us, because so much of what we're seeing, what I'm observing, are collectives that has unprocessed grief. And when we have unprocessed grief, it's projected as rage, and we begin to numb ourselves. And if we become a society that is rageful, that can't feel, we have a problem. Right? So the invitation here is, can I be brave enough to tend to my grief? And to be so curious about, what will I discover about myself in this journey that I'll take with my grief? What wants to make itself known? Right? There is so much that I didn't realize that I had hidden when my husband died. Namely, that I had never processed the grief from my father when he died in 1981. I was 10 years old. Right? So now I'm 55 years old. And in 2017, I wasn't grieving one man, I was grieving two, my husband and my father. So grief has this way about it where it can rummage through all of the boxes, the neatly stacked boxes that we have on the shelf. It tumbles it all to the ground and it spills everything open for us to see. Now, you might be saying, I don't have the capacity to go through all of that. And what I want to say to you is, you don't have to do all of it all at once. Maybe you dip your toes into the shallow end of the pool. You don't have to go into the deep end. Maybe you touch the hem of the fabric of your grief and get a taste, a flavor of, what does this grief feel like? Am I able to sit maybe with this portion of it? And so the other aspect that that grief, bringing our grief into the limelight does for us is, it produces a kind of power that we can't see or get from anywhere else. Right? Once we can get in touch with our grief, to feel, to welcome ourselves as feeling beings, we also develop a sense of deep compassion for ourselves. And a woman who has deep compassion for herself because of her grief story can sit with another woman unflinchingly and listen to her story of grief. And this is what we want to create. Women who can walk with each other, not scorn each other, not pull each other down, not be jealous of each other, but women that can sit around the fire, in the circle, in communities, and listen. But we're listening with the heart. We're not listening with the wounds. And so grief can give us an opportunity, tending to our grief can give us an opportunity to come in and rest and settle ourselves in the heart space. Right? It's like a mother welcoming her child who just fell and scraped her knee. Okay, so we're just practicing this holding of the ache. So grief is not here to destroy you. I'm going to say that again. Grief is not here to destroy you. Grief is here to create the next version of you. It's here to strip away all of the illusions that we've held. And I think that's part of the fear, right? Because there might be a part of us that knows that there's something I'm going to have to let go of, and I'm not ready for that, right? And when we talk about stripping away our illusions, yeah, that's a lot of our ego, right? And I certainly went through that, right? I was a wife for 20 years, and when he died, this role of wife just disappeared. And now I was left with, well, okay, who am I now? Now I'm a widow, I'm a single mom, and that took adjustment, but it also took me on this journey of revealing all of these different roles and identities that I held within myself. Um, so I thank my husband all the time, right? Because I know he's still present. I feel him. I thank him for this gift of bringing this version of me that I am right now. This, what I'm doing here, this is not my, this is not necessarily my jam, right? Like being seen and speaking on platforms scares the shit out of me. And at the same time, I know that I have to, right? Because I too can't sit on the sidelines. I too have to show up. I too have to utilize my voice and the wisdom that that I've gained through these last 8 years. So I'm excited to be here with you for the next 31 days. Excited for our journey together. What is this going to look like? So I'll be sharing little tidbits of my journey throughout the 30 days. We'll do a little bit of breath work to anchor us, a little bit of guided meditation. Light language will more than likely come in as well to help ground, recode energies within our bodies. And so I've left it open to spirit to guide me with this. I tend to be a perfectionist. And so doing this, I'm surrendering that aspect of me. So it doesn't look perfect. So it's real. What you'll see is just the real me. And I hope that you can give yourself permission to bring whatever it is that is within you, whatever grief, because grief isn't just about the death or the loss of someone that we love. It could be just day-to-day things as well. My kids, they're out of the house and they're doing their own thing. But when they left to go off to college, I went through some grief there. And so again, my role was changing. So if you're an empty nester, right, there's grief there. Now, what do you do with yourself as a mom, right? When your kids are there, now you have all this time. What do you do that? Come back to you. So empty nest and state of the world, right? There's grief just by reading the newspaper, whoever does that now, looking at the news. There's so much grief that we are actually absorbing, and we don't realize it because it's become just a common day thing. We have grief of, loss of a job, your home, friendships. All of these things are experiences that we're having that we tend not to think of as grief. And so I want us to look beyond just the loss of someone dying, but to also invite our day-to-day griefs into this journey. And if you find this content, if you like this content and you find it valuable and you'd like to share with other women, please do so. Hit the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate that as I get started on this journey of assisting women during this great time of our awakening. Thank you so much for being here with me, for listening. I look forward to the experience and the journey with you. Many blessings.